It has been said that you need to balance your passion, not your time. To prioritize not what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities with jobs, families, and of course, the pursuit of our Lord. Where do our geekdoms fit? What do we choose for now and choose to save for later? In short, what is responsible geekdom?
Yes. Yeah. Responsible geekdom. There you go. The question of the day.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So this will be a what's news episode. We're going to talk about things that are new in geek culture, but also as we've revealed, with all these new things coming up, how do we fit it all in? So we'll be discussing what's new, as always, what's either about to come out or has just come out in our respective geekdoms between the four of us. But we also want to keep in mind that balance. We want to think, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and then who do we have with us tonight? Who's gathered around to answer this question of responsible geekdom? Yeah. Who we got here? Let's see. All right. So Matthew's taking the helm and going to run with this. I'm Will Rose, one of the elder statesmen of systematic geekology. Matthew's been around for a while and helping us think through our geekdom and what we geek out on. And then we have Andy, one of our newest hosts. Andy, welcome. Where are you coming from? How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where it is still the hottest summertime weather.
Man, I tell you, here in Chapel Hill, I woke up this morning, it was 60 degrees. And I was like, what? Did fall show up early? You know, football's right around the corner here in Chapel Hill. UNC, I was like, what's going on? And then by the time we got to the afternoon, it was pretty blazing. But Matthew, you're coming from the West Coast, aren't you? Like we're crossing the whole country.
Yeah. I am out in the Pacific Northwest. Live smack dab between Seattle and Portland. It's about 90 miles to Seattle from my house, about 88 miles to Portland. So little town between two cities.
Nice.
Hail is all the time.
Yeah, and then of course we have a new member here, first time debut, collector-sized edition of Systematic Geekology, first issue, first appearance. Evan is coming to us from the other side of the country. Matthew, you're way up at the other top. He's way at the other end. Evan, welcome. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you geek out on? How did you discover Systematic Geekology?
Cool. Yes, my name's Evan Garcia, and I'm honored to be on the crew today. It's fun. Yes, I am in Florida. I'm in Central Florida, and Disney's not too far away, so that's a big part of my geekdom too. So that's a little spoiler for stuff. And yeah, we could probably make a sandwich, man. We put a bread down there, and then you put some pickles and stuff on one side, and we got ourselves a meal. But yeah, I came across Systematic Geekology here about a year ago, and through our friend Trip Fuller and his stuff of the Theology Beer Camp. And it's ironic that the first episode is how to balance your geek life, because I was not very good at balancing my geek life with everything else, and I got it. There were some consequences, and then I had to peel back, and then I had to learn a few things, where one of those included to cycle my podcast. Like it's okay to stop listening to some sometimes, and then you can let some come in, and so that's what's happened for the past few months. I've dropped some, and I brought you guys up on, and you guys should be in the rotation for at least probably 6 months, but not.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of content. It's a crowd market when it comes to podcasts, and I know my list is long of what I want to listen to, what I can't listen to. I think it is appropriate that we're talking about this tonight. And I'm glad you found us through Theology Beer Camp. We're going to be back at Theology Beer Camp coming here in October in Denver, and the Geek stage is getting larger and larger, and lots of guests and lots of topics that should be super fun. So I'm super appreciative of Trip and him allowing us that space. It kind of began here at my church with Theology Beer Camp. We got Theology Beer Camp back up and going. We're kind of in the youth room, hanging out with a bunch of geeks. You kind of push the geeks in the youth room because that's where they kind of belong, right? And then last year we had our own stage, and then this year the stage is going to be bigger. So it's pretty fun and all those topics. And he's a huge Star Wars fan and Tolkien fan, and this year has a big Tolkien theme with Rings of Power and stuff coming up. But yeah, super fun. And there's a discount code for Systematic Geekology. If you do Geekshire, all caps, all one word, you can get discount off your ticket. Evan, what are your favorite fandoms? So what do you geek out on? There's so many things I geek out on. It's hard to list them all, but it's no secret. I'm like X-Men fan, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, sci-fi, that kind of stuff. But what's your chief fandom? What hooked your imagination and geek life?
Yeah, man. A big one is Star Wars. That's the big one. That's the gateway drug. That's everything else. That's yeah. Like it's been around since I was I saw the movies first, but then my dad said, "Hey, I saw the special editions first," and then he goes, "Yeah, but you went on the Star Wars ride when you were like 6." I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that. No way." so I was like, "Oh, cool, okay." But yeah, so Star Wars is the big one, and that spews into the comics, into the books, into the shows. But then I'm also into the Lord of the Rings. We were doing a rewatch, and in our local theaters around my wife's birthday, they are going to be putting the extended editions in the theater. So we were like, heck yeah, we're definitely going to go to that. And I like at Disney parks, the theme parks and stuff. Their history is super fascinating, and they hold a special place in my heart with a lot of magical memories and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's a lot, and that's good. I'm with you, a Star Wars fan, and yeah, those movies and the expanded universe, and we're going to talk about some of that tonight. So Matthew, I'm gonna let you run with what's next. Cool. Glad we're all here, folks.
Yeah, as always, we would like to thank those of you who support the show. Specifically tonight, we are thanking Russell Gentry for keeping the lights on and the mics hot and all of those things. Thank you. We do have a Patreon. You can support us directly through Captivate. And for those of you who can't necessarily do a monthly subscription, we have merch as well, where you can just buy a thing one time. We've got shirts, cups, hoodies, all the things with the right up there, the little SG Superman logo up there on all kinds of stuff for your purchasing pleasure. And that helps support what we do here, helps us with gear, helps us get into these camps and these Comic-Cons and all these events that we like to be a part of, is in no small part due to your contributions. So thank you guys. So, lightning round. What are we watching or getting into currently that is either new or is like a new part of a franchise or whatever? What's new for each of us?
Nice. Andy, you go first. We've been talking a lot.
Sure. So I've been catching up with the Apple Plus Time Bandits show. Right? So it is a a remake, reimagining, revisiting of the 1981 film. I think that's the right year.
Yeah.
You know, a bunch of the Monty Python troupe, John Cleese, Michael Palin, Terry Gilliam, and yeah. So this is now a 10-episode streaming show with the same basic concept. Like 9-year-old kid who's a big history nerd discovers that his room is a time portal. It's sort of at the crossroads of a bunch of different paths through time and space. And a group of time bandits stumble through his room on their way to their next heist, and he gets caught up with them and goes on a bunch of time traveling adventures. It stars Lisa Kudrow as kind of the biggest name in the main cast. The creative folks behind it are Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi, who you might know from What We Do in the Shadows or Thor Ragnarok or a variety of different things. But they play the pure evil and the supreme being. So there's this battle between the forces of good and evil playing out behind all this as well. And yeah, it's a lot of silly fun. It is your basic time era of the week format, right? So one week they're in the Prohibition 1920s in New Orleans, and the next week they're in the Ice Age with Neanderthals, and the next week they're in medieval Mali.
Cool.
So just meeting different actual historical figures and all the fun that comes along with that. It's not serious and not heavy. There's a lot of anachronism in terms of everybody kind of has a 21st century sort of sarcastic and progressive way of approaching the world, regardless of what time they live in. But it's kind of a nice sort of family fun. Let's be kind to each other kind of show.
Did you see the original movie?
Oh yeah, I was a fan of the original movie as well.
I remember that as a kid, and that was on my list. And when we've wrapped up a couple of things, and to be honest, until right this moment, I forgot about Time Bandits until you mentioned it, and I'm like, yes, that is getting ready to hop into the queue. So yeah, my wife and I are looking for some other things to watch in this gap of things. So cool, thanks. Yeah, Time Bandits.
Evan, what about you? What's new? What's new for you?
Something new, like I wouldn't consider that it's super geeky, but it's something that to share with my wife now, and it's not. It's the Property Brothers shows that have a where they don't do the flipping, but they support other flippers that do the flipping of the houses. Super dramatic. I was just so caught up in the drama of the people that are not listening to their tips, and then they spend too much money, and then they can't. It is it's so captivating. I was so thrown. I am completely enveloped by this. I want to see people succeed. Some of them are like, oh, they don't deserve their backing. I'm like, what is this? It's hilarious. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah. Will.
What about you? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I am. So I finally finished Batman Masked Crusader, the new kind of animated Batman on Prime, and I love the tone. I love the aesthetic. I kind of love the throwback. It's pretty nostalgic for the original series, and I finished it. We did a little episode on it here on Systematic Geekology, that and compared to other. The animated series and that kind of thing. But yeah, I love it. I still love it. I think it's great. I think it's well done. It's real reworking. It's kind of Elseworlds. What if? It's not exactly what you would think of with some of his rogues gallery, but it's cool. And I'll mention one more thing. I love Octavia Butler and her sci-fi kind of Afrofuturism that she writes and has written. And I discovered Dawn, which is one of her novels that was an Easter egg in the latest Quiet Place movie. They stumbled themselves into a library or a bookstore or something, and the protagonist, she holds up a book and it's Octavia Butler, said Dawn on it. And I was like, oh, what is that? So I found it, and the premise is super cool. It's like the future It's aliens who discovered Earth post nuclear war, and they're like, oh, we could salvage this. We can even salvage some of the people and their genetics and rework this planet for the good of like the universe or whatever. So these survivors find themselves on this alien ship, and they have to figure out where they are, what they're doing, who these aliens are, they benevolent or not, when and if we'll go back to Earth 200 years after a nuclear war. I mean, it's fascinating. I've never read anything like it, or that kind of idea is very new and fresh to me. So I'm almost done with that novel. That was kind of my summer reading this summer.
Nice. Yeah, nothing new for me, but there's about to be a lot of stuff coming out that I'm going to have to figure out how to balance. And yeah, so I'm just kind of looking forward to the fall here, as all the fall games I'm looking forward to release, and then a couple new shows and franchises I follow that are coming out. It's going to be good times, and it's probably going to take me a long time to get caught up on all of it.
Nice.
Spoiled. We are totally spoiled.
We have a comment from Christian chiming in. He's viewing, and he says Alien Romulus was pretty great. So that's the newest Alien movie that I have not gotten to see. I like that franchise a lot, but I have not gotten to see the movie. I haven't been to the movies in a while since Deadpool. So I don't know if any of y'all have seen this movie or like the Alien franchise or not.
My wife's a big fan, so we're trying to figure out a way that we can go see it. So that'll be something that we get to do together. So that's some of that balance, is getting to share it. The things that I can share with my wife, that helps. So then I'm doing family and I'm doing geek at the same time. I'm checking 2 boxes.
Boom. That's responsible geekdom if I've ever heard it.
Okay, so we hit what's new, at least briefly. So let's go ahead and touch on some news. I'm sure we all saw that the Acolyte got canceled. How are we feeling about that?
Evan, share. I see a thumbs down. What? Yeah. Let me hear it.
Super bummed. I mean, I really liked what it was saying. It did take me a few episodes to realize to put the show in a proper context, because I was like, the first 2-3 episodes, I was like, what is this show doing? Like, why is it doing it the way that it's doing it? I'm like, this is very strange. And then I forgot what it was, and I'm like, oh, got it. This is like a CW show. This is a like Twilight primetime soap opera, but for Star Wars. And once that clicked, I loved it. I was like, I saw what it's trying to say. The flaws and everything they're kind of built into the genre. Like, the things that people are complaining about, I'm like, yeah, but that's just how that is. It's just one episode is going to be fantastic. One episode is going to be completely different and directed by someone that's completely probably shouldn't be directing this, but still, yeah. A lot of the themes I was appreciating. The themes of the Jedi, sure, they were heavy-handed, but what is, like, Star Wars has never been created in a vacuum, and you can always see what they're trying to say. And I disagreed with what they were trying to say, and especially with Soul, the character of Soul, maybe my favorite character portrayed in the saga right now. He's very much a Darren Aronofsky film. If we ever got him to direct something, like his obsession that led him to his tragic death without redemption is a cautionary tale. And we don't see that. We kind of see that with Anakin, but not fully fleshed out to, like, okay, I don't want to be this guy, but I'm going to use this example to better myself and to better those around me.
Nice.
And that was, I related, and that hit me very hard. So, but yeah, but I can see that it's a hard pill to swallow, and I'm in it. I'm in the Facebook groups and stuff like that, and just for some of them, for some of the fandom, it was too hard to swallow, and that's fine. And I just wish they weren't so loud and negative about it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So your take that it's like a CW show / Twilight, like hooked you more because you're like, what are they doing with this? Where others were like, I think the reason it got canceled because people saw it as a CW show, and akin to Twilight, and they're like, I'm out, I'm bouncing, and didn't like necessarily finish it. But for you, like now I see what it is. I'm gonna stick with it and see how they finish this story. That's interesting. I like that. Now the Facebook groups, are you like Rebel Force Radio podcast or any others? Yeah.
That, and there's a few more meme groups I'm in that I confuse like which one I'm posted in. So I'm like, oh crap, I meant to say that in this group. They are gonna kill me for this, but I'm like, oh well.
Piranha in the water. Yeah, I like Rebel Force Radio. I think their podcast is pretty well balanced. Talk about balance. Like I think their fandom's high. They're positive. They keep things positive, but they're not shy to share their opinion and if they're disappointed in something or if it falls short. But yet they still uphold and want Star Wars to succeed. And that's why I really like that podcast and that group. And the message boards there can somewhat be nutballs, but I think that's kind of the nature of the game. I think Matthew and Andy, did you guys finish the Acolyte? You guys able to finish that? The show? What are your thoughts?
I'll confess that I'm part of the problem, I guess.
There's no problem.
Like Matt was talking about, there's a lot of things I try to watch with my family to kind of keep things balanced and keep engaged with them. And the Acolyte was one of them, and we just didn't get to it. And so I guess my only other thought is I think it's a shame that this current era, everything has to find its audience right away, and it needs those first big day opening weekend numbers, or it goes away. Because it sounded up my alley. I've been trying to avoid spoilers. I didn't dodge one just now, but that's okay.
Not bad.
No worries. You didn't know, and that's on me for not keeping up.
They all die, and it's all canceled, Andy. There's your spoiler. Okay?
Yeah, right, exactly. I've been saying I was hooked by the premise of Carrie Ann Moss as a Jedi. I think maybe that might have been. I might be in for some disappointment there, but
she shows back up. There's a little bit more nuanced.
So. That I don't really have anything to, having watched it, I don't have much of an opinion otherwise.
Yeah, Matthew, how about you two finish it?
Gosh, I think how many episodes were there?
8.
Okay, so I think I have one. I think I have one more to watch then.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of got to a certain point and just like I figured out pretty quickly what you were saying, Evan, that it was absolutely that, what it was trying to be. But I do get gatekeepy with stuff. And I think sometimes we need to just let things be what they are and try and not make them culturally relevant or try and update it for now. And like Star Wars is always very clear, good versus evil. And I feel like trying to move it into that realm muddies all that up. It may be more nuanced and it may be more relevant, but it just didn't feel like Star Wars to me.
Yeah, and that's kind of the discussion they were having on Rebel Force Radio is what makes Star Wars Star Wars? Is it the Force? Is it the Skywalkers? Is it a certain era or time? Is it legacy characters? Is it a theme? Is it a feel? Is it good versus evil? Is it virtue? And I'm kind of there with you. It really kind of forced me to think through what is Star Wars. And as Christian shared, he thinks it's the the victim of writer's hubris, you know, and then if a thing deserved to be canceled, it's the show. I don't know if I totally agree with all that, but I do think they were there. There was some. It was pretty transparent what they were trying to do, and I think. You know, when Star Wars is a time now, and I think it needs some home runs and not necessarily experiments. And I know that Disney's kind of gone all in with this kind of High Republic era with the novels and the comic books. And for me personally, I tried to get in, I really couldn't. Some people love it, and I don't mind setting a TV show or a movie in that era if they really feel like they're gonna, you know, if you can. You know, try to knock it out of the park and really kind of hook some new audience and the old audience as well. Oh, there goes my lights. That Star Wars just cut the lights on me. They canceled me. They canceled me on the YouTube video. No, but I think you know, but for me, I was just like it didn't necessarily hook. I love some of the ideas. I love what they're trying to do with the Sith and some nuanced stuff and new ways of how to see the Force and this kind of hundreds of years before the High Council or the prequels. And I liked those, but then for something, it just felt like it was disjointed or not written in continuity or well or thought out. I don't know. It was kind of all over the place, and it was hard for me to put my finger on why
it was a poor man's Rashomon, basically. Like it was very loose with that. Yes, I get that. It was very much a poor man's Rashomon. Like they were trying to be Rashomon, like the one situation, but told it in different stories, and they kind of accomplished it, but I kind of saw what they were doing, so I was okay.
Well, my thing is like they went 8 episodes, and then the 8th episode they crammed a lot in, and they put some Easter eggs in there. Maybe Andy's seen it spoiled now. We'll try not to spoil it. They put some Easter eggs in there and some lures that were like, oh, if we get a season 2, we're really going to unpack this. And they didn't get a season 2, so why not do episode 9 and 10 and flush those ideas out, finish your story. In this day and age of streaming, of so much stuff, a crowded market of streaming and money and podcasts and fandom, and we're talking about that, responsible geekdom. Just finish your complete story. You may not get a second season, so finish it. And when I look at something like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and how much fleshed out that is and detailed and how great it looks, and they have hour and 10-minute episodes telling this long drama. These episodes were like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and you got 8. And if there's more story to tell, let's tell it. So I did like some of the choreography of the lightsaber battles were epic and some of the best in all of Star Wars, and the guy who played the stranger, he was also in The Good Place, and I love that show too. I thought he acted well, and as Christian said, he feels bad for the actors, and it seems like the writers kind of got in their own way, and I feel bad for the actors who really put their heart into it.
So what is coming out that we're all excited for? Let's take some time to just explore really just this fall release cycle that we're coming up on, and how it's going to impact each of us really as it relates to this whole theme of balance.
I'll just real fast answer. Like, I'm looking forward to the next Star Wars skeleton crew. Like it looks like they're experimenting some more. So we'll see coming off the Acolyte. There's a lot of pressure there. I wonder if they're going back in the writer's room and editor's room going, all right, we got to knock this out of the park. I'm they're doing reshoots to try and step up. But I'm curious how they're going to do this Goonies / Stranger Things Star Wars TV show. I'll be there. I'll be ready to watch and open to see. And then, our family's a big fan of Abbott Elementary. It's not huge, like deep lore, fantasy, sci-fi, but it is 30 minutes of comedy. And my wife's a teacher, and we love those actors. I love Abbott Elementary so much. And then come wintertime, we're gonna have a strew of movies, whether it's Captain America, and then there's Thunderbolts, and then I cannot wait for next summer for Superman, James Gunn's Superman, and then Fantastic Four. So there's a lot in between all that, but those are some things looming out there that I can't wait. I'm just my geekdom is just peak when it comes to that.
Andy?
Well, speaking of Superman, we had a trailer today for the Super Slash Man Christopher Reeve documentary.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
It may have gotten a little dusty in here just a few minutes before we started recording when I watched the trailer for that for the first time.
Ah, nice.
So, yeah, that's pretty exciting. I mean, Christopher Reeve is a big part of why I got into superheroes and Superman. And that probably still, is in the conversation definitely for, the best superhero performance, on screen.
Yeah.
So that should be great viewing. I think that's one of those things. It'll be in theaters, but one of those like broadcast into theaters for one night only kind of deals.
Yeah.
And then there's along with that, of course, that trailer was chock full of the great theme by John Williams, about whom there's also a documentary coming out later this fall. It'll be a little bit in theaters and then on Disney Plus. Music by John Williams, a big John Williams geek. I've had the pleasure of seeing him conduct.
Nice.
Cool.
Both his film music and his concert music. So that's been a real highlight of my geekdom. And so, yeah, that should be a cool documentary. And then super psyched tomorrow for the season 4 of Only Murders in the Building, which is not the most genre not the most sci-fi thing or anything like that. But
that's tomorrow.
Like a good tomorrow. Episode 1, season 4 will be available. I don't know what time. I think Hulu stuff is generally like first thing in the morning or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But season
Nice.
4 they're heading to the West Coast, changing it up. It will not, well, if you saw the end of season 3, they're still living up to the title, but somehow they're also managing to travel to the West Coast.
Cool.
So,
that's a family favorite of ours too. So I didn't realize. I knew it was dropping soon. Did not realize tomorrow. So yeah, man, here we go. The list is starting to get longer again. Here we are, man. Yep.
New stuff for you, Evan?
New stuff for me, pretty much what Will said. A Skeleton Crew is going to be huge. The other day, I was listening to the aforementioned Rebel Force Radio, and they mentioned the Daniels were going to do a episode of the show, and that made my day because I loved everything, everywhere, all at once, and A Swiss Army Man, and like whatever they make, it's weird as hell, but it's got heart in it. It's like
Nice.
I'm just so excited to see what they do. It's like that just made my day. I was like, yeah. For what's coming up, I want to finish The Bear. We got to finish that last season. We've got 2 episodes left to finish. Such a great show, man.
I love it so much, Evan.
Yeah,
we
just dynamic.
We just became best friends. Yeah, The Bear.
Right.
Gracious.
One show that I'm kind of late to because I didn't see the first part, and I don't know when the second part's coming out. But Cobra Kai season 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't see the first part yet, so I want to wait till they all drop, and I want to binge it. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
There's quite a few games coming out for me that I'm interested in. The new Zelda Echoes of Wisdom drops in a few.
Ooh.
So that's going to be the first Zelda game where you actually get to play as Zelda. So,
wow.
So it's going to be completely magic based instead of being more of like slashy. So there's that. Metroid Prime 4 is coming out. I've been a big fan of the open world kind of Prime series, like sci-fi shooter with that. And then in anime, at least the stuff I follow, we've got Dragon Ball Daima coming out in October. So I'm super excited to check that out. There's a new Gundam dropping, Requiem for Vengeance.
Oh, cool.
And so that flips it. It's going to be from the Xeon perspective. So rather than seeing the Gundam as the white hope of the Federation, it's the white devil that Xeon is scared of. So we get to kind of see more on the ground, people scared.
Yeah.
Always people dying, just very realistic of what war is and how, the bad side of humanity. And that's what I love it for. And I'm sure it's going to do that well. So I'm looking forward to those games and those shows.
Nice. And that's what I love about, our cross section of intersectionality of geekdom, that all our hosts have different things. There's shows, there's movies. We remind each other of stuff that's coming out. But yeah, even gaming and anime and those things. Cool. And I think Joshua threw up there Hellboy, the Crooked Man. I don't know. Is that an animated Hellboy cartoon coming out?
No, it's another movie, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
When with that again?
Movies.
All right.
Okay, another Hellboy movie. They're gonna go again. I'm a fan of Hellboy. That's cool. Yeah, there's no shortage of content. That's for sure. There's so much coming out.
Yeah, so I'm just looking forward to all that, and just got to figure out how to play it all, how to watch it all.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of,
yeah, here we are, Geek Life Balance. So, what rules do we have, if any at all, for prioritizing these things? As husbands and fathers, and some of us are pastors or just have very intense work schedules, or whatever your life may be. How do we balance, hopefully at least attempting to be responsible adults with so how do we choose what's for now and what's for later? And
such a good question.
Yeah. And how do we develop, to use a monastic term, how do we develop a rule of life for these things and keep it all ordered and be really just deliberate and purposeful in our lives?
I'm gonna sit with that a moment. You guys go for a second. I'm sitting with that. I'm sitting with it. I got some ideas, but you guys go for it.
So I could say a couple things.
Go for it.
Like we already talked about, there are certain things that I just watch with my family, and so that goes at the pace that it's going to go, and that means it goes slower sometimes because the kids have other activities and other interests. But that way we're moving together. Nobody's getting ahead or getting left behind. Things that only I'm interested in tend to slot into I'll put that on while I'm on the exercise bike or something like that, so that's me time, but it's not taking away from other responsibilities or spending time with other things. I have a somewhat informal system with my podcast listening. I try to alternate more fun, light, entertainment podcasts with more serious podcasts on hard science or theology or other topics, so that it's not just a steady diet of sugar, but there's some real content in there too. And sometimes it surprises you which episodes of which podcasts are actually give you food for thought. But in general, you can kind of sort these things. Also trying to balance like reading versus watching, so that not only getting things via screens, but mixing in books, either nonfiction science books or other nonfiction books, or sci-fi novels or whatever. Those are the main books that I read. But I think there's different kind of substance to that versus watching. There's things you can get at both and both have their value and their place, but kind of trying to keep that balanced out.
So you're saying don't skip leg day? Is that what you're saying, Andy? Don't skip leg day.
Don't skip leg day of the mind.
Yeah, there you go.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I thought about, because my wife, she just started a job where she works from home, and this is like on my lunch breaks. That was my time to watch my YouTube, my just like the random stuff. But then she wanted to watch stuff. I was like, okay, so I can prioritize stuff now that she wants to watch, and and that's how I got into the Property Brothers show. And I was like, this is awesome. Like,
Nice.
so when I learned to just not to always have to be on my phone, but to see what she wants too, that was big. That was big. And the whole like podcasting for me, it's like, it's okay to not finish an episode sometimes. It's like I just get kind of busy. I get caught up with work or the kids, and the podcast's not really going anywhere. So, because I used to stress about it, I used to be like, okay, I started this, I need to finish. Now I think I'm a little bit more, give myself a little bit more freedom in what I listen to and how I listen to it.
Yeah, it will in fact be there later.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Unless it's canceled and they scrub it off the streaming service. Like
the what?
Unless they scrub it and take it off through, but then that case.
Yeah. That whole thing.
Yeah. The stuff I can watch with family over the past few years has really kind of taken priority. I get a few hours in the morning on my days off before anyone else gets up on like Thursday, which is that's my midweek day off, because that is our day for our midweek practice for our worship team. So I have my work schedule kind of laid out around my church stuff. So I get a couple hours there. That is for Batman or the new 2020 Digimon remake they've been working on. Some of the things I've been watching, for me. But most of the rest of it is I have been spending this summer getting my 8-year-old into Dragon Ball for the first time. So we're all caught up. I'm ready to watch Daimon with him when it drops. And then and then via that process, my wife is now finally into anime for the first time in her life through watching Dragon Ball with me and Jordan, our 8-year-old. So she's ready to go when Daima drops. So that gets moved from something that's just fun for me to now something that I'm going to get to enjoy with both my wife and our 8-year-old. So I'm looking forward to that. And then everything else, I'll just have to, fit in. Games, they fit in where they fit in. I'm not a huge gamer. But so there's 2 or 3 games that are dropping. That's probably what I'm going to be playing for the next year, is just those 3 games, because that's the time I have. What I love in I don't know that I would love to have the time to just sit and play a game all day. There's too many other things. Like I have said, too much geek, not enough time. So
yeah, I like all that, y'all. Like I don't know if I have a rule or a set rule. I mean, I mean, systematic geekology could come up with like a rule of geekdom, like the rule of Saint Benedict or something. We could come up with something. We could come up with a creed. I think we've been around long enough and many episodes. We could give some helpful things, maybe not to condemn or judge or shame anybody, but as a guide to help others. That's an idea there to draw up something like that. But I think of like, as you guys were listening to your family, like I have my shows, movies, comics, books, podcasts, sports, my own exercise. There's YouTube channels I follow, and it is hard to fit it all, but there's stuff I do on my own. There's stuff I do that I watch and engage with my wife, and then with my own family. My kids are in college, but there'll be times when we FaceTime each other and then watch a show together, whether it's Abbott Elementary or maybe Murders in the Building. So I still think it's kind of cool that my kids want to hang out with me, even on FaceTime, wherever they are, to watch a show together, So I value that time. And there's stuff that I know that I'm only interested in that nobody else is. So I can do that on my own. There's others who are like, hey, I would like to see how you share it with you. And I think that happens with life and faith as well. There's stuff that I'm like, yeah, I can get on this. This may not be you. This is me. But then there's times you want to engage with it. And then we do it in community, where if it's getting out of hand, there's too much going on, or your games or your movies or shows or podcasts are getting in the way of you engaging with other human beings, of your friends and community and family, they're going to let you know. I think. I know mine does. And so even doing podcasts, it's like, oh, you have a lot of recordings this week. Let's ground ourselves with each other and take a break from that. So it's like, yeah, we gotta think through those things. And and Evan, with you, or maybe it was who said it was like, it's okay not to finish. Like it's it's absolutely. If for some reason my mood strikes and it's not hitting me right, or I'm like, there's other things, it's okay to delete that podcast. I'll come back to it. Or Marcus play and I'll come back to it later. Or if it doesn't interest me, to move on. I'll read a book, and I'm a pretty slow book reader. It takes me a while to get through a book. So if it's not really capturing me, if I'm a quarter of a way through and it's not hitting, I'm like, I gotta move on. I gotta figure out something. And so my podcasts are kind of like that. Like, what mood am I today? I'm in mood for a comedy. Am I mood for sports? Am I mood to just not think? Or I have a sermon. I really need to kind of work out my brain and theology to really think deeper on things. And this can help prime the pump with my creativity, with whether it's sermon writing or content creating. So I kind of feel out the spirit and where it's leading me to what my mood is striking. So
for sure,
kind of how I direct my days. And there's times when there's dry spells where I haven't seen that, but my family knows that when there's Star Wars content, I'm going to wake up like the day it debuts at 6:00 in the morning. The rest of the day. There's certain things, and there's certain Marvel movies I'll see opening weekend, because I want to be able to engage in the internet without spoilers. So there's certain things that I'm like, I have to see that opening night, or I have to watch it first thing in the morning. If you want to join me, you can. If you don't want to, that's all right. I'll rewatch it with you later. That kind of thing. So that's kind of where I am. But I think this kind of, responsible geekdom, but also being easy on yourself, knowing there's a lot of content and you don't have to do it all. You don't have to keep up. The rat race of trying to keep up with everybody is also kind of give yourself permission to be easy. So that's you guys are talking, and as I thought about this, but I like the idea, Joshua. Hey, let's do a rule. The systematic geekology rules of responsible geekdom. Rules that you don't follow them, you're awful and you're going to hell. Right. But more of like in the monastic sense. I like that idea.
The rule of life. Because they would have 6 a.m. prayer, 9 a.m. prayer. They had it like in between. I think there was a lot. There's quite a bit of freedom in monasticism, but they have their set. They have their set, structured, deliberate spirituality. I'm going to do this practice at this time and make this a rule for my life. And I absolutely think we can apply that to other aspects of our lives as well, like our various geekdoms.
Hey, new comic book days on Wednesdays, right, Andy? Like, we know when the new comic books drop, and then I order my stack, most excited, or sometimes I'll put like most excited to read. I'll wait till last, knowing that's what I'm gonna do and read the other stuff first. So I get 3, 4, 5, 6 comics a week at my local comic store, and then that kind of guides my reading. I knew early in my marriage, Cindy, I knew I wasn't gonna be a gamer because I didn't want to spend a ton of money or time on video games. But comics, it used to be not as expensive, but they're pretty expensive now. But I did a quick reads for me at the end of a long day. Rather than reading a novel or getting deep, I can read a comic and go to bed. So it's part of my decompressing at the end of a long day. But even that can be overwhelming with trying to keep up and reboots, right? Andy, how many X titles are there? Goodness gracious, I can't keep up with it all.
I know there was a very nice week and a half there where where there was none.
We got a break.
There was then there was one, and then there was two, and now we're already back to 3 or 4 coming out every week.
Yeah. Good thoughts. Good stuff.
Yeah. Just yeah, man.
And it just hit me now. Like I know the movies the movie's still far away, but they announced the Mandalorian and the Grogu movie, and it just hit me. That will be the first Star Wars film I get to see with my family in the theater.
Nice.
He just hit me. I'm like, oh my god, that's gonna be awesome. And they want to go, they want to see it.
Nice.
At least I don't think I'm forcing them to, but so yeah.
Yeah, The Force Awakens was the first one. I mean, my parents took me to, the OG, Star Wars: A New Hope in '77 when I was just a kid, and then first ones I took my kids to in the theater was The Force Awakens, and they were in elementary school, middle school at the time, and so that communal experience, and we still have those things around movies, but. Yeah, I think, even post-COVID streaming era, the crowded market of podcasts and streaming and YouTube, there is a lot to keep up with. But I think what resonates with you, what gives you life, what helps you navigate the world and bring levity to a hard and cruel world at times, I think is something, which is why I got into this stuff anyway. But if the fandom gets out of hand, or if I feel too overwhelmed by it, or it's frustrating me, or they're ruining my childhood, then there's plenty of other stuff out there. It's like, okay, I can make peace and say, God bless you. We'll maybe meet another day. But if you find that it's too detrimental to your mental, spiritual, relational health out there, then maybe move on to something else. I think there's a rule when it comes to that too, and which is what we try to do at Systematic Geekology, right? Like we don't want to geek shame anybody or tell anybody their fandom sucks or whatever. But if you geek out, great. But I do, as a community, we try to hold each other accountable and put a healthier conversation out there in a world that can often be pretty toxic and polarized and divisive.
Yeah.
Are you saying we need to Marie Kondo our fandoms and our TV shows and our comic books?
Oh,
if you're watching it doesn't bring you joy, it doesn't spark joy.
Yes. Going back full circle to Evan Howe, the Property Brothers. Is that what you're saying? Rework?
That's what I couldn't hear. Sorry. Yes.
Property Brothers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. I love it. Yeah. Sometimes you need a good demo day. You need a good demo day.
Yeah.
I declare podcast bankruptcy. I'm going to clear it all out and start over again. I listed so long.
Yeah. I've had to do that a time or two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I end up with a new list that's just as long.
Yeah. There's always where someone texts me, "Hey, Will, have you seen this? Look, check this out." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And then I'm like, "Oh, I'm reluctant." And then I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. That was really good. That was good." Subscribe.
Yeah. Okay. So, of all the things we've discussed, all the IPs, either new stuff coming out, although I don't think we've discussed anything brand new, just like continuations of existing franchises. But what are our recommends?
Hmm.
Will?
Yeah, we finished the bear this summer too. So if you can take it, I recommend the bear. It's not for the faint of heart. It's a lot of yelling, a lot of cussing, a lot of F-bombs. But if you see this as a microcosm of how you run a kitchen and what you're cooking for others and yourself and how to handle your relationships, what's healthy, what's not healthy to eat or not to eat, or within your relationships, it is such a parable and a cautionary tale of what we do. And I think it captures what we're talking about, kind of geek life balance. These guys, the cooks, and how do they have a balance of their life, their relationships, allowing themselves to be loved or express love with what they're trying to fix up and cook up in the kitchen. It's man, yeah, and how it's edited and the music they use and the choices. It's just a beautiful, beautiful show. And again, it's not for kids or whatever. It's pretty loud and vulgar, but if you look at it as a microcosm of how to have healthy relationships, it's a great cautionary tale and a great parable with that. So I didn't think I was going to bring that tonight. I didn't think I was going to be a recommendation until I haven't mentioned it, but yeah, the bear.
The bear. All right.
The bear.
Evan.
Yeah. The one thing that's coming to my mind right now that's giving me just a lot of like quick joy. I found this YouTuber that reviews cars from the 90s and the 2000s. They're like 10-minute episodes. Boom, bang. So good. It's just like there's a bunch of the nostalgia and they don't do like that. They like these simple things as to where they put the switches for the windows and stuff. It's like, we don't do it like that anymore. Stuff like that. And yeah, just the stuff that's not so heavy. And I've been kind of leaning to that after kind of the whole thing with the acolyte. Yeah.
Andy recommends?
Yeah, I'll just go back to Time Bandits. If the bear makes you too anxious like it does for me.
I do want to see that.
And you just need something that you can watch with the whole family and where the stakes are very low and the peril is very mild. But there's just a lot of goofy, silly fun and some history learning along the way. Can't go wrong with Time Bandits.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Yeah. A lot of my stuff's kind of specific to me, so I don't know. But if I know what I'm looking most forward to out of all of it, which is probably Echoes of Wisdom, of just getting to play as Zelda for the first time in this franchise that has been named after her for 40 years.
Right.
So.
Finally, yeah.
Cool.
Frolic through the flowers. And then we'll tiptoe into the tulips.
Absolutely. Yeah. Smash that like button. And Mr. Rose here will frolic through the flowers.
And the irony is that it won't be in roses because rose bushes have thorns and stuff. So Rose will frolic through flowers in some kind of video that may get 50 more likes of that. But yeah, if you like this video 50 times, we get 50 likes, I'm gonna do it, y'all. We're gonna film it, and I don't know what I'm gonna be wearing, but we'll figure it out. And that's the promise. That's the lure.
As long as you're wearing something.
We won't blur out. It'd be funny if I was wearing something, we still blur it out. And like, is he doing it?
Pixelated.
Yeah, it's like, no. Does he really do that? No, we got to find
that. Oh, now we have to.
Talking about Time Bandits. It's kind of a tangent, but I was in a back and forth with someone online, and they got me to remember this old TBN film called Time Changer. Do you guys remember that?
No.
Time Changer?
No.
Oh my goodness. It's one of those like super cringy TBN TV films. That was just like, for me, in like in like when I was younger, I thought it was the coolest thing. It's like, oh, Christian sci-fi? No way, cool. But it was just bad stuff.
Well, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. I have to hunt that down.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah,
I am morbidly curious.
Yeah. Cool, y'all. This was fun. Fun.
Always. Yeah. So, as always, like, review, share it with your friends, put it all the places, and thank you all. And as always, it's been fun. It's been real, but it hasn't been real fun. No.
I would decide the quality, sir.
Evan, super cool. Glad you could join us, man. It was good. We hope there'll be more. And I love how the algorithms flow and overlap with different things that we geek out on, and connection with Trip and beer camp and all that. And Andy and I go way back to like a faith and science grant that goes back years ago in the before times and
cool.
Those kind of things. So super cool. And I'm gonna plug Andy's book too, like Faith Across the Multiverse. He has a book, Evan. I think you'll love it. Matthew,
really?
He has a book. Look it up on Amazon. Faith Across the Multiverse. What's the subtitle underneath, Andy?
Oh goodness, you put me on the spot. I'm Parables from Modern Science.
Parables from Modern Science. And
it is sadly already out of actual print, but you can still get the ebook. And if you can manage to find me, I still have a few print copies in my basement. I can hook you up with. But
shoot Andy a DM and he will mail you a copy.
Fascinating.
I dig it. Yeah, that Deadpool was that got me thinking about Jesus across the multiverse. You know what I mean? So I was kind of thinking about that before. That's cool, man.
Andy. I would at North Carolina Comic-Con. I'd love to get some copies of your book and have it there for folks when we have our table. So we'll talk about that. I'm writing that down. Good stuff. Cool. All right, fellas.
Thank you, guys.
Matthew, sign us off, buddy. Sign us off.
Yes. So as always, friends, remember, we are all a chosen people, a geekdom of priests.
Beautiful.